Słuchasz podcastu Angielski z Konradem. Jeśli chcesz popracować nad płynnością, nabrać odwagi do konwersacji, skorygować często popełniane błędy bądź poznać skuteczne metody nauki, ta audycja jest dla Ciebie. Remember, you're not at school, so chill out, kick back and enjoy yourself. Let's begin.
Hello everyone, this is Konrad speaking. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I hope you are well, ready and willing to learn. Enjoy the show. Let's begin with vocabulary section. Today we'll be dealing with idioms. Time will tell. Time will tell. Czas pokaże. In two shakes. In two shakes. Migiem na cito. One of these days. One of these days. Wkrótce. All in good time. All in good time. Wszystko w swoim czasie, w odpowiedniej chwili. Sooner or later. Sooner or later. Prędzej czy później. Jean-Marc Cot, a French visual artist from the 19th century, created a set of drawings called In the Year 2000. He imagined people living comfortably underwater by that time, riding seahorses, playing underwater cricket, racing on fish, taking a whale bus to work. Sorry, it's difficult to stay serious. If you think these are absurd, how about a flying postman stopping mid-air on a personal airplane to deliver mail? Nevertheless, his art is considered public domain at that time. You can find it easily online, but for your convenience, you will find a link in your podcast notes. While most of those drawings turned out to be quite silly, some of these futuristic visions were surprisingly accurate. Farmers using combine harvesters to handle the brunt of the work, electric hoovers, incubators on poultry farms. Those inventions may not look like their real-life counterparts, but similarity in the idea of their function is impossible to ignore. Jean-Marc Cot didn't live long enough to see his visions come to pass. He would have to be 120 years old at the very least. However, the creators of Back to the Future trilogy of films, Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, have lived long enough to see theirs come to fruition. Not exactly as they have predicted. It requires vivid imagination, but also realistic foresight to what can actually happen, given our state of knowledge and the current level of technology. Most of us can realistically predict what is going to happen in the next 3 or 4 years, but not 30. For example, most big companies have their product lineup laid out that far into the future, 3 or 4 years. Are you interested how iPhone 15 is going to look like? Well, Apple has designs for iPhone 18 stashed somewhere in a safe, probably. Here's a story of how Back to the Future Part 2 saw the future realized. The future that came and went. The first step of our time-traveling adventure takes our heroes to the year 2015, 30 years into the future, from their perspective. Their objective is to stop a certain event from happening. In order to do that, the protagonist, Marty McFly, has to trade places with his son, who is a spitting image of his dad, and decline an offer to take part in a robbery. But before we do that, we've got to check out the future. After all, we've got all the time in the world. We have a time machine. Let's start with the obvious. Take a look outside the window. What can you see? apart from the sun, some clouds, and an occasional airplane flying by? That's right, nothing. Thank goodness we don't have flying cars. It's a kind of a solution to a problem which causes a lot more trouble than it actually solves. Imagine being stuck in a jam only to have your car run out of energy. You come crashing down on some poor guy's head. It could happen, even if you filled your nuclear fusion reactor engine to the brim with litter. And yeah, there are air traffic jams in 2015. That's another problem created. Another thing that seemed like a cool concept but a terrible idea in reality are self-lacing shoes, or any kind of electrically enhanced clothing. I'll make do with my low-tech clothes, thank you very much. Nike made a few pairs of those shoes for sneakerheads. They are called the Air Mags. They can be yours for a modest $212,000, and you would still have to tie the laces yourself. Self-adjusting clothes, on the other hand, seem like a cool idea. It could potentially cut down the volume of clothes production since you would only need to manufacture one size. Still, it may be limited to clothes and jackets since they fold around the joint areas, so no self-adjusting underwear for you. One of the tech gizmos that actually became reality, kind of, are hoverboards. You know, a skateboard with no wheels that glides a few centimeters above the ground. These are real, just not as hype as the ones in the film. The good people at Hendo can hook you up with a hoverboard. It actually hovers. A few millimeters above the ground, but it hovers. All you need is $10,000 and a lot of copper floor panels since it uses polarizing magnetic fields to levitate. So while we have those, they're not as ubiquitous as the ones in the film. The future is not only about technological gadgets, but also how we have or haven't changed. We still haven't, for example, seen legal institutions merging with commercial ones. The court hall in the film shares the building with a shopping mall. But it's not hard to imagine that if we could, we would do so. For better or worse, I don't see lawyers getting outlawed anytime soon. Nostalgia also plays a large part in our culture. Very much like Cafe 80s from the film, we have our own nostalgic bars, pubs and restaurants, giving their customers a glimpse to the decades past. If you want to take a trip down memory lane, a period-themed cafe is for you. One thing that hasn't changed over the years are adult-adolescent relationships. Years, decades, centuries, millennia can come and go. Adults and teens still don't understand each other. It seems as if kids in their mid-teens are abducted by aliens and replaced by their lizard people counterpart. I don't know. Quirky fashion statements are a consequence of that lack of understanding between generations. Well, they're quirky from a boomer perspective. Still, teenagers don't do anything as outlandish or extravagant as wearing jeans inside out. Would you like Michael Jackson to serve you meals and drinks? Or Ronald Reagan, former President of the United States? That's who gets you your food in the Cafe 80s in 2015. Well, their virtual counterparts do. Over the past few years, deepfake technology caught on to a point that actors are considering lending their likeness to anyone interested. For a nominal fee, of course. Example, Carrie Fisher's likeness was used post-mortem in one of the Star Wars films. Princess Leia character. This opens a new door of possibilities for celebrities. Here's my prediction. In about 30 years, we will be able to put anybody's face into any film. How about watching Terminator with Sylvester Stallone? Why stop there? Stick your own face there for extra ego boost. Back to the Future is a film you can watch several times and you would notice something new every single time. The last time I saw it, I noticed that Doc Brown hands Marty a $50 bill to order fizzy drink. That's right. The film predicted inflation. Well, maybe predicted is an overstatement. Money loses value over time. It's a fact. We're not at a point of paying $50 for a bottle of cola, but let's wait another 30 years and see what happens. Litter is another thing that we don't have a good idea what to do with, apart from setting it aside, like in 2015. Granted, we recycle more than ever and we are more mindful of waste. Most town centres seem to follow the line of thought depicted in the film. Virtually no litter in the more representative parts of cities, but all you have to do is turn into any back alley to find loads of trash. Certain Italian cities like Rome or Bari, where I used to study, have been struggling with waste disposal for years. Why is there even a problem with litter if people in 2015 have access to portable nuclear fusion reactors fueled by trash? Maybe it's just me reading too deep into the film. Some of the inventions presented in the film are obviously played for laughs, like the Jaws hologram coming down from the cinema entrance to snack on Marty. Come to think of it, advertisements attack us left and right, like sharks, so the prediction was somewhat accurate. You can't watch a YouTube video without being harassed by commercials every few minutes. To be fair, that's a source of revenue for creators, apart from paid promotions and videos, which you can easily skip. You can also pay for a premium subscription and enjoy ad-free content. There's also the matter of a certain startup called Star Rocket. They want to display ads using an orbital display, so you can see it in the sky at night. If that idea comes to fruition, I want to get eaten by a shark. Do you remember fax machines? Those big office telephones with a printer attached to them. Back to the Future predicted that they would become so commercially popular that every household would have at least 3 fax machines, so your boss can fire you 3 times over. Fax machines suffered the same fate as pagers. They never became commercially successful. I guess it became much more convenient and faster for businesses to conduct business over email. Pagers became obsolete because of mobile phones. If you can have a device which allows you to call and text, why would you choose one which only allows you to receive text messages without any possibility of responding right away? While we're on the topic of home appliances, households in 2015 don't look that much different from the ones we have right now. While most people still opt for their houses to remain dumb, you can equip yours with fingerprint scanners, voice assistants, air ionizers, flat-screen TVs which fill your entire wall, among other gizmos. Why use a light switch when you can ask Siri to turn them on for you? That begs the question, how much more convenient is a smart home in comparison to a regular one? In an event of a power cut, you are screwed. You can't even leave or enter your house. Unless you have your old-fashioned keys as a backup. But that's so inconvenient. To be fair, certain smart home gimmicks make life much easier for people with certain disabilities. Let's end our prediction rant with one that film had made with 100% accuracy, in my opinion. These are video calls. Heck, throughout 2020 and 2021, Skype, Zoom, Microsoft Teams and other apps were the only viable means of communication due to COVID restrictions. It not only changed the way we communicate, but also work and study. What we see in the film is just a sneak peek into the future, or the past. So confusing. There are many aspects of life that it doesn't cover, for a good reason. If you take out the time-traveling theme from the film, you are left with an adventure movie. The economy, international relations, job market situation, healthcare, politics, social cultural movements. While I can find something interesting in all those topics, they stand in stark contrast with the word adventure. That's the long and short of it. While it's fun to dissect the film and compare it to our times, it's just that, a film, a work of fiction. It's made to entertain, not to inform. It made some accurate, educated guesses, sure. You are meant to have a great time watching it, first and foremost. And with Back to the Future, it's guaranteed. Before we finish, let's revise vocabulary for this episode. I will give you an example sentence for each idiom. You will hear each sentence twice. If you are interested in translations, you will find them in your podcast notes. Let's begin. Time will tell. Time will tell. Czas pokaże. Time will tell who was right about the matter. Time will tell who was right about the matter. In 2 shakes. In 2 shakes. Migiem na cito. I need the laundry in 2 shakes. I need the laundry in 2 shakes. One of these days. One of these days. Wkrótce, któregoś dnia. One of these days I'll get my act together. One of these days I'll get my act together. All in good time. All in good time. Wszystko w swoim czasie, w odpowiedniej chwili. Be patient. Your kid will learn to count. All in good time. Be patient. Your kid will learn to count. All in good time. Sooner or later. Sooner or later. Prędzej czy później. You'll have to get to work sooner or later. You'll have to get to work sooner or later. You'll have to get to work sooner or later.
Alright, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to follow me on Spotify. It really helps me reach more people with my content. Remember to subscribe to my newsletter to get notified of new episodes. If you have any questions or you just want to say hi, contact me at my email angielskiskonradem@gmail.com.